Today, we are wrestling with a juxtaposition so powerful, so unsettling, and frankly, so disturbing. It really forces you to reconsider what you think you know about sports and power and political control.
It really does.
Our mission for this deep dive is to unpack the grim reality of a professional sports revival in Venezuela, specifically the rise of its new basketball super league.
And this league plays its biggest, most high-profile games in a venue that sits, literally directly above one of the world's most notorious political prisons.
It's the ultimate study in manufactured distraction. We are looking at a scenario where you have the sounds of a professional celebration, cheering fans, sneakers on the court, stadium lights happening just floors above where documented systematic human rights abuses and, well, torture are allegedly being carried out.
And that's the dark heart of our focus today.
Yeah.
Cheers above, torture below.
And it is not subtle at all. If
Yeah.
you read the source material, it paints a scene that is, at once totally familiar and also deeply, deeply unsettling.
So picture this. It's a Saturday night in Caracas. The atmosphere in this arena is just electric.
The lights drop low, you feel the pulse of these rolling drums hitting you in the chest, and then you get this incredible moment of manufactured hype. A golden stream of fireworks just explodes over the court.
And the crowd is chanting, right, they're united. Vamos, pioneros, let's go, pioneers.
The home team, Pinars de la Villa, they trot out in these bright orange uniforms. There are cheerleaders. You see families, kids on their parents' laps, fans sipping beer.
It looks, for all the world, like a normal high-energy professional sporting event, something you could see anywhere.
But the dark irony is immediate, and it's structural. It's about the geography. That court, where the Pioneros play their home games, is located inside this sprawling, bizarre complex called El Helicoide.
And Helicoide isn't just some municipal sports facility. It is described, not just in our sources, but by international human rights bodies, as one of Venezuela's most infamous political prisons.
And to be clear about the stakes here, for you, the listener, just a few concrete floors down from where that crowd is cheering, where those fireworks are going off.
Yeah, just a few floors.
There are reportedly over 80 political prisoners being held in conditions that human rights groups consistently describe as just horrific.
We're talking severe isolation, denial of medical care, and repeated torture.
And crucially, this whole spectacle is not some accident of urban planning. It's not a coincidence.
No, not at all. It is precisely because of the location and the individuals involved that this whole thing is seen by critics as a highly calculated political move.
This brings us to the core concept we really have to define here: sports washing.
Right. So the new Super League was set up by the government with a stated, positive goal of reviving a beloved Venezuelan sport. But critics argue that the practice of hosting games in this specific location,
And under the patronage and outright ownership of specific security officials.
exactly, that it reflects a much broader, calculated effort to sports wash the authoritarian regime of Nicolas Maduro and just deflect attention from its dire human rights record.
It is, in essence, an attempt to use a beloved national cultural institution, basketball, to construct this gleaming, glossy public facade right over the site of ongoing repression.
Transparency of Venezuela, a watchdog group, analyzed this league earlier this year, and they called it, and this is a quote, a network of influence that polishes the image of a repressive and opaque regime.
So the connection isn't just, that they're next to each other. The whole system is structurally integrated into the state's security apparatus.
Jan Sager Anderson, he's a sports journalist and founder of Play the Game. He provided this powerful external assessment on it. He noted that this is an attempt by the state and the security forces to position themselves in society, and that can't be in favor of the values of sport.
The choice of location, the individuals involved, it all signals an agenda far, far beyond athletic competition.
It signals control, impunity, and really a kind of psychological dominance.
Okay, so let's lay out our roadmap. To really appreciate the full scope of this, we have to start at the foundation, literally, the foundation of the building itself.
We have to.
We're going to explore the bizarre, corrupted history of the El Helicoide structure, this utopian architectural dream that just spiraled into a concrete nightmare.
Then we'll track the rise of the Super League and, maybe most critically, we are going to name and detail the specific sanctioned security officials who own, run, and are deeply tied to the teams playing in the gym named after one of their own.
And finally, we'll examine the international pies of the league, including global basketball organizations, and really ask what responsibility they might hold in this whole unsettling spectacle.
And it is so crucial that we spend significant time on that third section. We are not talking about some anonymous, distant bureaucrats here.
No, these are names.
We are naming specific individuals, military commanders, police generals, whom the United Nations has identified as being part of the chain of command responsible for systematic torture. This is the government not just hiding its crimes, but performing a celebration on top of its crimes, led by the accused perpetrators themselves.
Okay, so let's unpack this historical symbol first, Helicoide. It's just impossible to talk about the current situation without appreciating the building's utterly wild origin story.
It really is.
Because the structure itself is a symbol of a dream that was just violently corrupted.
It's a monument to failed ambition, really. Its genesis dates back to the 1950s, specifically to the regime of the dictator Marcos Pérez Jiménez.
Right, and this was a time when Caracas was just awash in oil wealth. Pérez Jiménez was desperate to showcase Venezuela's modernity, to position himself on the global stage as this forward-thinking leader through these colossal, futuristic public works.
And the plans for El Helicoide were unlike anything else in the world at the time. It was intended to be this vast, innovative luxury shopping center, a marvel of concrete and steel.
The design was helical, right? This giant ramp structure built into a multi-story pyramid. The whole idea was to allow visitors, driving their new imported American cars, to enter the structure and drive right up the spiraling ramps.
And park on the level of the specific storefront they wanted to visit.
It's incredible.
I mean, think of it. A mall where your car could take you from the ground floor straight to the top, which was supposed to have an auto show pavilion, lavish exhibition spaces, high-end restaurants.
The name El Helicoide, the helix or the coil, it perfectly captured this architectural vision of continuous rising movement.
Meant to symbolize Venezuela's upward trajectory and internal modernity.
It
was supposed to have helipads on top, even movie theaters inside.
So a utopia, a commercial and architectural monument to mid-century capitalist luxury. But that dream died, and it died abruptly.
It did. The project was abandoned before it was even finished in 1958, right after Pérez Jiménez was overthrown. The structure was just left standing, this massive, unfinished concrete carcass looming over Caracas.
And for decades, it just sat empty, sometimes occupied by squatters who found shelter in its bizarre open inner spaces.
And that's where the dark conversion begins. Starting in the 1980s, this vast, empty, winding space, originally designed for the easy flow of luxury shoppers and cars, was repurposed.
It was converted into the headquarters for Venezuela's National Police and Intelligence Services, the very architectural features that made it a terrible mall.
Right, the winding, secluded ramps, the huge concrete interior.
Made it ideal for compartmentalization and security services.
Specifically, the Bolivarian National Intelligence Service, or SEBIN, and the National Police. They began operating out of this failed luxury structure. The irony is just palpable.
A building designed to symbolize global openness and wealth became a place of total internal closure and, well, a poverty of spirit.
And its use intensified dramatically after 2010, particularly under the current government of Nicolas Maduro. It became infamous in the mid-2010s after hundreds of anti-regime protesters were detained there, solidifying its status as one of Venezuela's most important and most feared detention centers.
It transformed from an architectural folly into a modern house of horrors.
And that transformation is deeply systemic. I mean, when we look at the source material, the conditions alleged inside were right beneath that basketball court. They aren't just instances of isolated cruelty, they're systematic.
So what exactly has the UN Independent International Fact-Finding Mission on Venezuela reported? Because we need to be really clear about the nature of the abuses that are happening just a few floors down from those cheering crowds.
Well, the conditions are consistently and repeatedly highlighted as dire. The UN mission has documented a horrifying range of specific torture methods used inside El Helicoide. We are talking about physical brutality, brutal beatings, sometimes aimed at specific parts of the body to inflict maximum pain without leaving easy marks.
And the specific technological cruelty. Our sources cite torture with electricity, a method designed to inflict excruciating pain while maintaining relative physical control over the victim.
Exactly. And beyond the physical violence, the psychological warfare is just relentless. Prisoners are reportedly held in overcrowded cells, often without basic necessities like natural light, which disorients them, or, functional bathroom facilities.
The denial of basic human dignity is just standard operating procedure.
That immediately makes the image of the cheering, celebratory crowd above feel almost impossibly macabre. The contrast is just too severe to hold in your mind at the same time.
And the intention of this systematic cruelty is clearly stated by those who have witnessed it. Andrena Badul, whose father was held there, she provided a quote that cuts right to the heart of the regime's objective.
What did she say?
"These places are built to break wills."
Wow. They are designed not just to punish, but to completely obliterate the victim's psychological capacity for resistance. The architecture of the abandoned mall is now the architecture of despair.
And to ground these abstract concepts in the horrifying reality of personal experience, we have to focus on the specific cases mentioned in the source material. The individuals targeted for opposing the regime who have been, or currently are, held captive inside El Helicoide.
These stories, they reveal the full scope of the facility's operation and its purpose as a tool against political opposition and civil society.
Let's start with the case of opposition politician Freddie Superlano. Our sources indicate he has been detained there for well over a year. He's never even faced a trial.
That's a classic tactic of indefinite detention, just designed to remove political threats from the system. But what makes his case so cruel is the systematic isolation.
He has been routinely denied contact with his family and, crucially, denied access to his lawyer, which makes any legal defense pretty much impossible.
And his wife, Aurora, she related devastating detail to reporters. The only sign of life she periodically gets from her husband is his used clothing, handed over by the prison authorities. She said she smells them to confirm they are his.
That practice of forced isolation, where the only link you have to the outside world is the scent on a worn piece of clothing, that is a profound form of psychological torment.
And the allegations of physical brutality often focus on those who hold a high-profile status. You have the case of Raul Isaias Badul, the former defense minister who eventually broke with the Chavez regime. He was imprisoned multiple times and ultimately died inside El Helicoide in 2021.
His case is deeply contentious. His family and human rights groups state emphatically that he was denied necessary medical treatment while he was incarcerated.
The Venezuelan government, of course, denies this. They say he died while being treated for COVID-19. But regardless of the exact cause, the accusation of neglect remains a potent symbol of the facility's power over life and death.
And the brutality extends to the next generation. Raul's son, Josners Badul, was imprisoned alongside his father, and he reported enduring extreme, specific forms of torture.
These methods aren't just designed to cause pain, but to humiliate and terrify. He detailed being suspended from walls for extended periods and, horrifyingly, having his testicles shocked with electricity. These are not random acts. These are systematic methods of breaking a person.
And this extends beyond just political figures. The regime targets civil society leaders, journalists.
Right. Prominent human rights defender Javier Tarazona was reportedly beaten, suffocated with plastic bags during interrogations, and subjected to sensory torture. He was locked up in a punishment cell for 45 days with the light on 24 hours a day.
That kind of persistent light tactic is designed to destroy your ability to sleep, to mark the passage of time, and to entirely erode your grasp on reality.
It's just horrific.
Similarly, the journalist Carlos Julio Rojas has faced months of solitary confinement. He was only recently granted a visit from a journalists association after 4 months of total isolation, which just highlights the systemic use of separation as punishment.
And we have to mention the lawyer and human rights advocate, Rocio San Miguel. She's been held there since February 2024. Her case continues to draw international attention because of the denial of due process.
Her family reports that she's been denied the right to contact her lawyer, and she reportedly suffered an untreated shoulder fracture that went ignored for several months while she was detained.
The details of these specific accusations, torture, medical neglect, sensory deprivation, they are crucial context. El Helicoide is the effective headquarters of the Bolivarian National Police and SEBIN, and it's a place where these severe human rights violations are perpetrated routinely and systematically.
And it is directly above this facility, atop the multi-story pyramid known within the complex as the Mountain, that the Pioneros de la Villa have set up their modern, state-of-the-art home court.
The structural irony is almost unbearable. But here's a profound, subtle detail mentioned in the source material. The people locked up inside El Helicoide cannot actually hear the basketball games.
They can't hear them.
No. Because of the massive, thick concrete walls that were originally designed for that 1950s commercial complex. The structure is so dense that the noise just doesn't penetrate.
But they know it's happening.
And that's the key. They know the games are happening. They know the cheering, the celebration, the whole spectacle is occurring directly above their isolation and their torture.
That knowledge, that auditory separation, but intellectual awareness of the celebratory distraction occurring feet away, that is in itself a profound form of psychological oppression.
Victor Navarro, a former political prisoner who now directs an NGO, expressed this concern directly. He said that it is, quote, deeply concerning that El Helicoide, a site of systematic torture, is being used as a tool to whitewash those responsible for crimes against humanity through sporting events.
It forces you to ask, is the basketball game meant to erase the crime, or is it meant to amplify the regime's power over the victim?
It suggests that the regime feels so secure in its impunity that it can perform a celebration directly on top of the place where it commits its worst abuses.
Okay, let's transition now from the location's grim history to the active effort to use it for political gain. If the location itself is symbolic, the naming and the ownership ties, that's the blueprint of the sports washing project.
Precisely. The sports facility that sits on top of this prison structure, which was renovated with great fanfare in 2022, was not only built on the prison complex, but its dedication directly honors the perpetrators of the alleged abuses.
It is now called the Elio Estrada Paredes Gymnasium.
And here's where the connections become absolutely, undeniably clear. Elio Estrada Paredes is not some historical figure or a distant relative. He is the Commander General of the Bolivarian National Guard.
He's a commanding figure in the national security apparatus that operates within and alongside El Helicoide.
And his profile in the source material is deeply concerning. He was sanctioned in September 2024 by the U.S. Department of Treasury, specifically for his role in the repression of the Venezuelan people and denial of their citizens' rights to a free and fair election.
But the connection goes deeper than just general repression, doesn't it?
Oh, much deeper. The UN Independent International Fact-Finding Mission identified him explicitly as part of the chain of command responsible for torture and mistreatment of prisoners, specifically in El Helicoide.
So they named the gymnasium used for professional sports after an official sanction for human rights abuses linked to that very location.
It's just, the audacity is stunning.
And this leads us to ask, as journalists have, why be so overt? Why not pick a generic name, a national hero, or an old basketball star? Why choose an official sanction for abuses committed in that exact complex?
The provocation itself feels like part of the strategy. It absolutely is. It's an intentional affirmation of impunity. By naming the public-facing facility after an official sanction for the crimes below, the regime sends a clear message. We control this space, our authority is absolute, and we celebrate those who enforce it.
It's psychological intimidation directed at both the prisoners and the international community.
This political statement prompted sports journalist Candido Perez to provide that chilling, defining quote, "On the upper floors, they're playing basketball, and in the basement, people are being tortured. I doubt such a thing exists anywhere else in the world."
And the individuals and organizations linked to the teams playing in the Elio Estrada Paredes Gymnasium, they just reinforce this structure of political control.
According to detailed investigative reports by organizations like OCCRP, the league has at least 2 teams that are owned or effectively controlled by high-ranking security officials who are themselves accused by the UN of human rights violations.
Okay, so let's start with the home team, the Pioneros de Ávila. They were only founded recently in April 2024.
And as is often the case with politically connected entities, there is no transparent public ownership information. You just can't find it.
But the government sponsorship is overt, plastered right onto their uniforms. Their jerseys bear the logos of the Ministry of Interior, the national oil company PDVSA, and Venezuela's national tourism brand.
They are literally sponsored by the state apparatus. The public-facing leadership is also closely tied to the state. The publicly elected team president is Adela's Pamela Peña Soto, whose Social Security documents confirm has been an official with the Bolivarian National Police since 2023.
But the deeper connections reveal the true source of power. Sources within the Venezuelan basketball community, who understandably spoke anonymously due to security fears,
Of course.
informed reporters that the de facto owner is Ruben Dario Santiago Cerviña, who is the Commander General of the Bolivarian National Police.
The very security force headquartered in El Helicoide.
So the head of the police force that runs the prison is the effective owner of the team playing above it. And this individual, Santiago Servina, is not a clean actor internationally. He is also sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury Department for harassment and arbitrary detentions carried out by the Venezuelan police after the 2024 presidential elections.
The audacity of this connection is highlighted by his public platform. Despite the sanctions and the accusations of police overreach, he openly promotes the League. And he does so through this bizarre and highly politicized medium.
He hosts a radio program called, and I want you to remember this name, The Rhythm of Security, with the Bolivarian National Police.
I can't make this up.
On that show, he has actively celebrated the Super League and the fact that it is being played at El Helicoide, touting it as one of the most important leagues in all of Latin America.
So the promotion of a major sporting league is literally part of the police general's weekly PR and propaganda campaign. The title itself, The Rhythm of Security, suggests this kind of harmonious control environment, which stands in violent contrast to the chaos and brutality documented just floors below the court he owns.
It is a stunning display of state confidence and impunity, and the Pineros aren't the only ones playing at El Helicoide with direct ties to repression.
No, there's another Super League team, the Spartans Distrito Capital. They also call the Elio Estrada Paredes Gymnasium home. Their mascot is a chisel-jawed ancient warrior, projecting strength and militaristic pride.
And the Spartans' ownership ties are even more openly embraced. The team is openly led by Leonel Alberto Garcia Rivas, who acts as the team owner.
He is the director of the Elite Special Operations Corps of the Bolivarian National Police. This is a direct, public, unashamed link between a highly specialized elite security unit and a professional sports team.
And the accountability implications for Garcia Rivas are immense. Like his counterpart, Santiago Servina, Garcia Rivas was identified by the UN's International Fact-Finding Mission as part of the chain of command of special police groups actively involved in systematic and severe human rights violations.
And those violations are specifically detailed. They include torture, arbitrary detentions, enforced disappearances, and, critically, sexual violence and other ill treatment of political prisoners.
So this is not a general accusation of corruption. This is a specific accusation of grave crimes against humanity linked to a man who owns a professional basketball team.
And he was subsequently sanctioned by the Canadian government in March 2025 for these confirmed links to human rights violations. Yet, unlike other officials who might try to remain discreet, Garcia Rivas publicly embraces his role. He appears at press conferences, gives interviews to present the team's roster.
And this is where the public relations strategy gets sophisticated. While Garcia Rivas is the sanctioned security official who owns the team, his wife, Queenie Vanessa Torres Toro, acts as the polished public face of the team as its president.
And she's frequently seen on the team's active social media pages, running public initiatives like basketball training clinics for children, uniform donation drives in local communities. She's often seen posing happily at center court before matches.
This is a critical psychological mechanism, isn't it?
Absolutely. The regime positions the wife, the community organizer, as the public embodiment of the team. They present this family-friendly, benevolent, community-oriented image for an organization that is effectively controlled by a sanctioned security official accused of grave crimes.
It serves as an effective public relations shield, normalizing the official's presence in civil society.
It's an extraordinary example of blurring the lines between security, political control, and popular culture. But the connections don't stop with the national police. Let's look at a third key player in the league, the Gladiadores de Anzoátegui.
The Gladiadores are officially owned by a regional pharmaceutical entrepreneur and government contractor named Fabian Carmine Eliantonio Gamboa. So on paper, it looks like private ownership.
But their visible patronage links lead right back to the intelligence services.
When you look at their uniforms, they wear the logo of Team Espartanos, which is a sports collective that promotes various extreme sports and is prominently featured in military events.
And this collective is closely associated with Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Gronco Arteaga. He's the Director of Special Affairs of the General Directorate of Military Counterintelligence, the DGCIM.
Gronco Arteaga and his subordinates wear the Team Espartanos logo on their uniform sleeves, and media outlets have described him as the founder of this collective, which also shares a name with several companies he reportedly owns.
Hold on, let's pause there for a second. We've just named three key security agencies: the National Police, the Special Operations Corps, and now the DGCIM, all tied to human rights abuses and all linked to this single sports league.
Can you break down for the listener what makes the DGCIM in particular so feared and why Lieutenant Colonel Arteaga's involvement is such a terrifying sign for Venezuelan civil society?
That's a crucial question. The DGCIM is, according to the UN fact-finding mission, one of the most feared and brutal security forces in Venezuela. Unlike the national police, which handles general law enforcement and political detentions, the DGCIM is focused on military counterintelligence. But its remit has expanded to crushing dissent across all levels of society. Their facilities are also notorious for severe torture.
And Branco Arteaga himself is central to this.
Absolutely. He has been subject to personal sanctions since 2019 by the U.S., the EU, and Switzerland for his role in these systematic violations. The source material notes that the mere mention of his name sends shivers down the spines of Venezuelan civil society.
Because his reputation is just synonymous with torture and arbitrary detention.
So when you look at the Super League as a whole, it's not just a collection of sports teams. You have teams overtly or covertly linked to the top leadership of the National Police, the Elite Special Operations Corps, and the military counterintelligence.
All institutions cited by international bodies for systematic human rights abuses, and all converging at a gymnasium named after a sanctioned general, which sits atop a prison.
It creates a closed loop of impunity, where the regime's most powerful and sanctioned security actors use a nationally beloved sport to legitimize their public profile and operational control. The league becomes their playground, their PR machine, and their visible badge of honor.
To fully understand why this is such a potent and, effective tool for sports washing, we have to recognize the immense cultural weight and emotional history of basketball in Venezuela.
They didn't choose an obscure sport. They chose a national passion.
Absolutely. When we talk about sports in Venezuela, baseball usually dominates the headlines, but basketball has an immense grassroots following. You find a basketball court or a corner hoop virtually everywhere in the country.
And critically, it is historically Venezuela's most successful team sport on the international stage. The statistics prove that emotional investment. The men's national team has qualified for 5 World Cups, 2 Olympic Games, and won the South American Championships 3 times.
That is a sustained, genuine athletic pedigree.
And Venezuelans still speak with immense pride and nostalgia about the golden age in the early 1990s. This was the peak of the original league, the Liga Especial de Baloncesto, founded way back in 1974.
And the emotional apex for so many fans remains the 1992 Olympic qualifiers. Venezuela finished a stunning second place in that tournament, right behind the legendary U.S. Dream Team.
The one with Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. The greatest collection of talent ever assembled.
To have competed against and finished second to, that team created a national mythos around Venezuelan basketball.
Sports journalist Perez recalled this era with great enthusiasm, mentioning that games in Caracas during that time were routinely packed to the rafters, and that the original league was a thriving, high-quality business that gave rise to legendary national players.
But that foundation began to erode in the 2000s and 2010s. Venezuela's crippling economic decline, coupled with shifting political priorities, led to diminishing financial profits and a lack of investment in the original league.
The quality of imported players, which was a major draw for the league, declined sharply.
And as the quality dropped, so did fan attendance and commercial viability. As Perez put it, that was the end of that golden age. The economic and political turmoil created this huge void where a beloved national institution used to stand.
And this void is precisely what the Maduro government stepped into. They didn't just rebuild the league. They seized control of the entire organizational structure of the sport, turning the decline into an opportunity for political takeover and, subsequent weaponization.
The consolidation of government control began in December 2019. Anthony Coelho, who at the time was the Vice Minister of Interior Policy and Legal Security, a high-ranking political and security official.
So not a sports guy.
Not a sports guy. He was appointed the head of the Venezuelan Basketball Federation, the national governing body of the sport.
And that appointment gave a single, high-ranking political operative immediate, centralized control over the entire administrative structure of basketball in the country. Coelho used his platform to announce the following year the creation of a new basketball super league, stating they needed to revive the sport and adapt to new times.
The league started in 2020 with 13 teams. It included some legacy established clubs like the Caracas Crocodiles, but critically, it incorporated new state-linked clubs, including the Pioneros and the Spartans, whose links to the security apparatus we just detailed.
The league later merged and was renamed The Professional Basketball Super League, or SPB. Operationally, and this is important for the sports washing effect, the league has been successful in its athletic ambitions. They have managed to successfully recruit international talent, which lends serious credibility to the quality of play.
We're talking about U.S. college veterans and, significantly, two former NBA players, Dwight Bykes and Hollis Thompson.
The presence of players with NBA pedigree ensures the league is taken seriously both domestically and internationally. These players provide a level of glamour and genuine athletic skill that, can't fake.
And that international talent and professional presentation are absolutely vital components of the sports washing effort. Anthony Coelho, the man who started it all, who is now a ruling party congressman, he remains deeply involved. He attends matches and annual meetings as an honored guest.
Maintaining the political tether to the league and ensuring compliance with the state's vision.
But the strategy extends beyond just high-level talent. It's about massive public buy-in. The league ensures enormous domestic reach because games are widely broadcast on Venezuelan public television, and most importantly, admission is free.
That free admission ensures full-capacity crowds. It gives the impression of overwhelming public support and national fervor. Reporters at one game noted spectators queued for up to 2 hours just to get a red armband that provided free admission to the stadium.
That kind of highly visible public enthusiasm and access makes it an incredibly powerful political spectacle, a demonstration of popular happiness under the current regime.
But despite the cheers, the full stands, and the imported talent, the government presence is never far from sight. At the very top of the mountain, overlooking the stadium where the fans are cheering, there is a constant, unavoidable visual reminder of who is truly in command.
This poster is enormous, featuring 3 massive faces: the late Hugo Chavez, his successor Nicolas Maduro, and Venezuelan independence hero Simón Bolívar.
The political significance is clear. They are framing the current regime as the historical continuation of Venezuela's revolutionary and heroic past.
And the text beneath them is a political slogan that serves as the mission statement for the entire enterprise. Command by obeying the people.
The message is clear. The spectacle you are enjoying, the joy you are experiencing, the national pride you feel, is under the direct patronage and control of the state and those specific leaders.
This controlled success brings us to the international context, specifically the connection to the International Basketball Federation, or FIBA, the global governing body of the sport.
Right. The Super League is heavily promoted by the Venezuelan Basketball Federation, which is critically a FIBA member.
Anthony Coelho, the Federation president and ruling party official, has publicly praised FIBA's assistance in helping develop the national competition system, which includes the Super League.
Furthermore, the SPB enhances its professional veneer and its perceived international legitimacy by displaying the official FIBA logo prominently on its website. This is a crucial point.
The global brand of basketball is being utilized to provide a key visual layer of legitimacy to a league tied to sanctioned officials and playing atop a torture center.
When reporters specifically asked FIBA for comment on their relationship with the Super League, particularly regarding the human rights allegations tied to the Helicoide venue and the ownership, FIBA was very, very cautious. They sought to distance themselves.
Their official response was that they have no direct link to the SPB as an organization, and they claimed they do not possess information regarding the potential human rights violations mentioned.
So trying to assert plausible deniability regarding the league's political nature.
However, they did explain that the presence of the FIBA logo is solely due to SPB's use of FIBA Live Stats, which is their globally recognized game statistics and data solution.
Now that's a seemingly minor detail, but it has major implications. It means that while FIBA claims no direct organizational link to the teams or the venue, their globally recognized software and logo are still providing a key layer of operational and visual legitimacy to a league directly controlled by sanctioned security officials and playing atop a torture center.
So the integrity of the game's data is verified by a global body, which inherently confers an air of professionalism and normalcy to the entire operation.
It creates this really troubling ethical situation where global standards of professionalism, represented by the FIBA logo and the presence of former NBA players, are inadvertently, or I guess indirectly, providing cover for actions that flagrantly violate global standards of human rights.
It's a small technical detail, but it's a vital piece of the sports washing architecture.
So when we synthesize these detailed findings, what does this all mean for our understanding of authoritarian control? This deep dive reveals something far more sophisticated than simply building a stadium at a convenient location.
It reveals a highly calculated mechanism. The regime is leveraging a genuine national passion basketball with all its history and emotional resonance to construct a veneer of normalcy and stability. This glossy public facade is deliberately placed over a site of systematic repression.
It confirms that the use of El Helicoide is not a coincidence of location, nor a simple cost-saving measure for a venue.
The Super League itself is deliberately woven into the security and intelligence apparatus of the state. It allows sanctioned individuals, those identified by the UN as being responsible for crimes against humanity, including torture and sexual violence, to participate in public life.
And to garner applause and public adoration through their association with a successful, entertaining sport.
The fact that multiple key figures, including the Commander General of the National Police and the Director of Elite Special Operations, are directly linked to these teams, it suggests the League is less a sports organization and more an extension of the state's security and public relations framework.
And the intentional naming of the Helio Estrada Paredes Gymnasium after a sanctioned official just confirms the political intent. It's a badge of honor for impunity.
The episode highlights how authoritarian regimes weaponize cultural and emotional investments. They take a beloved national sport, one tied to historical glory and national pride, that memory of the 1992 Dream Team game, and use it to sanitize the actions of specific sanctioned individuals.
They create a public reality. The roar of the crowd, the lights, the spectacle, that is so compelling it deliberately ignores the grim concrete truth right beneath the surface. It is the ultimate exercise in manufactured distraction, performed by the security forces themselves.
And that leads us to our final provocative thought for you, the listener.
And the international software providers like Feeble Life Stats, what responsibility do they have when their participation contributes, even indirectly, to the veneer of legitimacy for events held at such a specific and notorious location as El Helicoide? Does their silence or neutrality become complicity?
When the spectacle requires an external validation to fully function, where does the moral accountability of those providing the validation truly lie? Something to mull over until our next deep dive.